Jackson Marshall stepped into the halls of Lincoln High School, his heart pounding beneath his broad chest. He was new, quiet, and bigger than most of the students around him. His size and dark skin made him an immediate standout, and not in a way he enjoyed. As he moved toward his first class, he could feel the stares, hear the whispers, and catch the occasional snicker. It didn't take long for trouble to find him. "Hey, new kid," a voice called out, sharp and mocking. Jackson turned to see a group of boys lounging near the lockers. The leader, Ryan, smirked as he crossed his arms over his Letterman jacket. "You got a name, or should we just call you Jumbo?" Ryan's friends, Kyle and Jake, burst into laughter. "Jackson," he said quietly, avoiding their gaze and walking past them. Ryan wasn't going to let it slide. "Oh, he's shy too," he shouted after him, earning more laughs from his crew. Jackson kept his head down. He wasn't here to make enemies, but he knew these boys wouldn't let up. Over the next few weeks, the bullying escalated. During gym class, Ryan tripped Jackson as he sprinted across the basketball court. "Oops, didn't see you there," Ryan said, feigning innocence as Jackson hit the floor hard. Kyle and Jake howled with laughter, and even some of the other students joined in. Jackson gritted his teeth, got up, and dusted himself off without a word. In the lunchroom, Kyle accidentally spilled his milk all over Jackson's tray. "Man, you're just a magnet for trouble, huh?" he sneered. Jackson stared at the mess, his fists clenched under the table. Still, he said nothing, walking away to clean himself up. One day, Ryan cornered him by the lockers, his friends flanking him like bodyguards. "Why don't you ever fight back, huh? Scared we'll break you?" Ryan leaned in, his smirk widening. Jackson met his gaze calmly. "I don't like fighting," he said, his voice steady but firm. "Oh, we've got ourselves a gentle giant." Ryan laughed. "Isn't that sweet?" Jackson's silence seemed to annoy Ryan even more, but the boy didn't push further that day. At home, Jackson's father, a towering man with hands calloused from years in the ring, noticed his son's quiet frustration. "Something on your mind, son?" he asked one evening. Jackson hesitated before answering. "It's nothing, Dad. Just some guys at school." His father nodded knowingly. "Bullies?" Jackson sighed. "Yeah." His father leaned back, his eyes narrowing. "You've been training for years, Jackson. You've got the discipline and the skill. Why let them walk all over you? I promised, remember? Only fight if I have to." His father placed a hand on his shoulder. "Sometimes standing up for yourself isn't about breaking promises. It's about teaching others respect." The breaking point came during a school pep rally. The entire school was gathered in the gym, cheering for the football team. As Jackson walked past Ryan's row, the quarterback stuck out his foot, tripping him in front of everyone. Jackson stumbled and fell, landing hard on the gym floor. Laughter erupted, echoing off the walls. Ryan stood over him, grinning. "Oops, my bad." Jackson got up slowly, his face expressionless. He met Ryan's eyes with a calm intensity that silenced the laughter. "That's enough," Jackson said firmly. Ryan laughed, but it was forced. "What are you gonna do, Jumbo? Cry about it?" Jackson didn't respond, but something in his gaze made Ryan uneasy. Later that day, Ryan and his friends found Jackson alone in the gym. Ryan tossed a pair of boxing gloves at him. "Let's see what you've got, tough guy," he said, smirking. The gym coach overheard the commotion and intervened. "You boys want to box? Fine. We'll do it properly, with rules and supervision." Word spread fast. By the time they were ready to fight, half the school had gathered to watch. Ryan strutted into the ring full of bravado. Jackson followed, his movements measured and calm. The bell rang. Ryan came out swinging, throwing wild punches left and right. Jackson dodged effortlessly, his footwork precise. The crowd gasped as Ryan missed again and again. "Stop dancing around and fight me," Ryan growled, frustrated. Jackson finally threw a jab. A clean hit to Ryan's chest that sent him staggering back. The crowd went silent. Ryan recovered and charged, but Jackson's training shone through. He countered with a series of swift, controlled punches, leaving Ryan breathless. In a final exchange, Jackson landed a powerful uppercut. Ryan hit the mat with a thud, the gym falling into stunned silence. Jackson stood over him, breathing steadily. He extended a hand. "It's over." Ryan hesitated, then took his hand, pulling himself up. I didn't know you could fight like that," Ryan admitted, his voice quieter than usual. "Maybe next time think before you act," Jackson said, his tone calm but firm. The atmosphere at Lincoln High changed overnight. Ryan, Kyle, and Jake stopped their bullying. They even offered Jackson apologies, and over time a tentative respect grew between them. Jackson became a quiet legend, not for his size or strength, but for his unwavering discipline and integrity. And though he never sought the spotlight, he knew he'd taught the school an invaluable lesson. Respect is earned through action, not words. And sometimes it takes just one moment to change everything. After the fight, Jackson's life at Lincoln High improved dramatically. The bullying stopped, and whispers of admiration replaced the usual taunts. But Jackson knew better than to let his guard down completely. Life had a way of throwing curveballs when least expected. One afternoon, about 2 weeks after the fight, Jackson was walking home when he heard hurried footsteps behind him. Turning quickly, he found Ryan jogging to catch up. "Hey," Ryan said, slightly out of breath. Jackson raised an eyebrow. "What's up?" Ryan shifted uncomfortably. "I need to talk to you. Can we sit somewhere?" Curious but cautious, Jackson nodded, leading them to a nearby park. They sat on a bench and Ryan rubbed the back of his neck awkwardly. "So listen," Ryan began, avoiding eye contact. "I wanted to say thanks for not going all out on me in that fight." Jackson frowned. "You're welcome, but why bring this up now?" Ryan sighed. "Because there's something else going on. It's about Kyle and Jake." Jackson leaned in slightly. "What about them?" Ryan hesitated. "They're planning something stupid. They're mad about losing face after our fight and want to challenge you again, this time outside of school where no one's watching." Jackson's jaw tightened. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because they don't know when to stop," Ryan admitted. "And honestly, I don't want to see anyone get hurt, especially you. They've been talking about ambushing you after your boxing practice at the gym." Jackson processed this information silently. He appreciated Ryan's warning, but knew he had to handle this carefully. That evening, Jackson prepared himself mentally. He had no intention of starting a brawl, but if Kyle and Jake forced his hand, he wouldn't back down. After finishing his usual workout at the local gym, Jackson noticed 2 shadows lurking near the alleyway. He adjusted his bag and walked out, his senses on high alert. "Hey, Jumbo!" Kyle's voice called out, dripping with mockery. "Ready for round 2? Jackson turned to see Kyle and Jake stepping out of the shadows, each wearing a smug grin. "I'm not looking for trouble," Jackson said calmly. "You should walk away," Jake laughed. "You think you're some kind of hero now? You got lucky in the ring. Let's see how you do without an audience." Kyle lunged first, aiming a sloppy punch at Jackson's face. Jackson easily sidestepped, grabbing Kyle's arm and twisting it behind his back. "I warned you," Jackson said, his voice low and firm. Jake rushed in next, but Jackson released Kyle and ducked, sending Jake stumbling forward. With a quick pivot, Jackson delivered a controlled strike to Jake's shoulder, making him yelp in pain. "Enough," Jackson snapped, his voice echoing in the alley. Kyle groaned, cradling his arm.
Jake sat on the ground, glaring up at Jackson.
"You think you're better than us?" He spat. "No," Jackson replied. "But I know when to stop. Do you?" Before either of them could respond, a car screeched to a halt at the alley entrance. The gym coach, Mr. Hernandez, jumped out. "What's going on here?" He barked, his eyes narrowing at the sight of the boys. Jake and Kyle scrambled to their feet, their bravado evaporating. "Nothing, sir. We were just leaving," Kyle muttered, avoiding the coach's gaze. "Mr. Hernandez crossed his arms. "I better not hear about this happening again. Now get out of here before I call your parents." The 2 boys bolted without another word, leaving Jackson and the coach alone. "Mr. Hernandez turned to Jackson. You okay?" Jackson nodded. Yeah, thanks for showing up. The coach smiled. Let's just say I had a feeling something like this might happen. You handled yourself well, but remember, you don't always have to fight alone. Jackson nodded, appreciating the support. The next day at school, word spread quickly about the alley incident. Surprisingly, Kyle and Jake kept their heads down, avoiding Jackson entirely. It seemed they'd finally learned their lesson. During lunch, Ryan approached Jackson again, this time with a more confident demeanor.
Hey, mind if I sit?
Jackson shrugged. Sure. Ryan sat down, clearing his throat. I heard about last night. I tried talking them out of it, but you know how stubborn they are. They won't bother me again, Jackson said simply. Ryan nodded, then hesitated before speaking again. Look, I know I've been a jerk. I want to make things right. Maybe we can, start fresh? Jackson considered this. Depends. You serious about changing? Ryan met his gaze. Yeah, I am. After a moment, Jackson extended his hand. All right. Fresh start. Ryan shook it, a small smile forming on his face. In the weeks that followed, Jackson noticed a significant shift in the school's atmosphere. Ryan kept his word, and even Kyle and Jake, though still distant, didn't cause any more trouble. Jackson's reputation grew, not as a fighter, but as someone who commanded respect through his actions and integrity. He'd taught them all an important lesson. Real strength isn't just about power. It's about knowing when to use it and when to hold back. And for Jackson, that was the most significant victory of all.